When motherhood becomes the monster. She's pregnant. In Bloodborne, one of the boss fights is against Yharnam, Pthumerian queen. She's ancient, she's powerful, and she's heavily pregnant. Her unborn child, Murgo, cries throughout the battle. Those cries can stun you. The baby you can't see, the child not yet born, becomes a weapon against you. Last episode, we examined how modern games turn babies into monsters. But there's another thing disturbing happening across gaming. They're turning mothers into horror itself. Not just evil mothers, not just bad parents, motherhood as the source of monstrosity. Why? Part 1. The Sacred Feminine Inverted. Across human history, across every culture, motherhood has been recognized as sacred. The ability to bring forth life, to nurture it, to sustain it. This isn't just biology, it's participation in creation itself. Even cultures that disagreed about everything else understood this. Mothers are the gateway through which humanity continues. Modern horror gaming has taken this role and made it the source of revulsion. Let's examine how. Part 2. Bloodborne's Pregnant Nightmares. Bloodborne's entire narrative revolves around pregnancy, birth, and what the game calls ascending to become something beyond human. But every instance of this is grotesque. Yharnam, the Pthumerian queen, is pregnant with Murgo, a great one. But Murgo is invisible. You never see the child. You only hear its cries. The game's lore reveals that Murgo was stillborn, yet somehow still exists, still cries, still influences the world. When you fight Murgo's wet nurse, the creature guarding this invisible stillborn infant, and defeat it, the baby's cries finally stop. The game treats silencing the infant as victory. Think about what From Software chose to make horrifying here. Not violence, not death, the cries of an infant. The existence of a child, even an invisible one, as something that must be ended for peace to return. But Bloodborne goes further. Multiple characters in this game give birth to abominations. Ariana, after being impregnated by a great one, births a creature you must kill. The game literally positions the aftermath of pregnancy as something that must be destroyed. Part 3. Dragon Age's Broodmother. If Bloodborne makes pregnancy horrifying, Dragon Age Origins makes forced motherhood itself the ultimate nightmare. The Broodmother is one of the most disturbing enemy designs in gaming history. She was once a woman, a dwarf specifically, who was captured by darkspawn and force-fed in darkness until her body transformed into a massive, tentacled breeding factory for more darkspawn. This game includes a poem, a chant, describing this transformation. I won't read it in full, but the essence is this. Women captured by darkspawn are systematically broken down, fed constantly, kept in darkness, until their bodies become nothing but wombs for producing monsters. BioWare could have made the darkspawn reproduce any number of ways. They could have used spores, or eggs, or viral infection, or any other horror game mechanic. Instead, they specifically chose to make corrupted motherhood the source. And it's not just one brood mother. The game's expansion, Awakening, features the Mother, an awakened brood mother who leads darkspawn armies. She has intelligence, she has goals, and her entire identity is wrapped up in her twisted maternal role. She refers to the darkspawn as her children and becomes enraged when you threaten them. The developers took motherhood, the protective instinct, the nurturing drive, the bond between mother and child, and made it monstrous. Part 4. F.E.A.R's Alma. The F.E.A.R series builds its entire horror around Alma Wade, a woman who was experimented on, forcibly impregnated, and whose psychic trauma manifests as supernatural vengeance. In the first game, you learn Alma was impregnated twice while in a coma, kept alive artificially to produce psychic children for a military program. In F.E.A.R 2, one of the most disturbing endings in gaming, Alma forcibly impregnates the player character. The protagonist wakes up restrained. Alma appears heavily pregnant, and in a scene that inverts every natural aspect of conception, she assaults him. The game ends with him screaming as she forces pregnancy upon him in a grotesque reversal. What's happening here? The developers took one of the most fundamental human experiences, the creation of new life, and made it a violation itself. Alma's entire character is built around corrupted motherhood. She's dangerous because she was made a mother against her will. Her children are weapons. Her pregnancies are curses. Everything about maternal bonds becomes weaponized horror. Part 5. The Pattern Revealed. So what connects Bloodborne's pregnant queen, Dragon Age's Broodmother, and F.E.A.R's Alma? They all take the role of mother and invert it completely. Where motherhood should be life-giving, these games make it death-dealing. Where it should be protective, they make it predatory. Where it should be sacred, they make it profane. And notice, in every case, the woman's body itself becomes the horror. Not what she does, not her choices. Her pregnant form is what the developers chose to make monstrous. Yharnam's swollen belly becomes a target. The broodmother's breasts and reproductive organs are explicitly part of her grotesque design. Alma's pregnancy is the source of her supernatural rage. This isn't accidental. These are design choices. Artists, writers, and developers sat in rooms and decided, how do we make this scary? Let's make the mother the monster. Part 6. The Worldview Underneath. What worldview produces this? I'd suggest it's one where female fertility is seen not as a gift, but as a threat. Where the female body's capacity to create life is viewed with suspicion, even revulsion. There's a term for this in philosophical circles called body horror. But that's too clinical. What we're really looking at is creation horror. The horror that something might be created, that new life might come into existence. Contrast this with how traditional stories treated mothers. Yes, there were wicked stepmothers in fairy tales. Yes, there were cautionary tales about bad parents. But the role itself was never the horror. Motherhood was never positioned as inherently monstrous. Modern gaming has crossed that line. It's not that mothers can be bad, it's that being a mother makes you monstrous. And millions of players absorb this association. Maternal equals grotesque. Pregnant equals predatory. The sacred feminine equals horror. So here's what I want you to think about. These games are made primarily by men. Men who will never be pregnant. Men who will never give birth. Men who will never experience the physical reality of carrying a child. And they're choosing to depict that experience, the experience their own mothers went through to bring them into existence, as monstrous. What does that reveal about how these men view women and how they view creation, about how they view their own existence? If pregnancy is horror, then what are you? If mothers are monsters, then what does that make their children? I don't think most developers are consciously thinking this through. They're drawing on cultural anxieties, personal fears, artistic influences, but the pattern is there. And it's not isolated to just a few games. What are those cultural anxieties? Overpopulation propaganda. Decades of being told the earth is dying because there are too many people. Feminism positioning motherhood as oppressive drudgery rather than sacred calling. Career advancement depicted as incompatible with having children. Environmental doom narratives where every child is just another carbon footprint destroying the planet. Anti-natalism, the philosophy that it's morally wrong to have children, has gone from fringe position to culturally acceptable. And gaming reflects this. Creation itself becomes the horror. When an entire medium repeatedly depicts motherhood as the source of horror, when pregnant bodies are consistently shown as grotesque, when the sacred role of bringing life into the world is inverted into nightmare fuel, that says something about the culture producing it. And it says something about what we're teaching the next generation to fear. Next time you see a pregnant character in a horror game, freeze the frame. Ask, why is her body the horror? What am I being taught to fear about creation? About mothers? About the continuation of humanity itself? What else are you not noticing? Next episode, The Womb as Dungeon. We'll examine why developers make you fight your way through literal reproductive organs as level design. Freeze the frame. Find the truth.